Howdy, 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 and thank you for joining me tonight. Tonight's topic, we are talking about the victims of Scientology and the fact that we should not be forgetting them. Certain people are getting a lot of the notoriety about being victims of Scientology, but there's so many more that we just don't hear enough about. And I thought, who better to come join me for this but one of the people that I love, absolutely love in the SPTV world. And she has her own story that really falls right into this. So please welcome Liz Ferris. Hey, Liz.
Oh, hello, Mr. Poe. How are you?
Howdy. Uh, so, one of the things that, and I don't want to detract from anyone that's, out that they're actively looking for so heavily. But Shelley Miscavige gets a lot of the attention that's out there. But there are people also that are still alive that are trapped in there and can't get out. Your father being one of those people.
Yeah.
And I feel that we need to make sure that we're remembering everybody. And how is the work going on trying to get Dad out?
Well, so far, without giving too much information away, I've gone the legal route. I've talked to a couple different lawyers. The good part is my dad's sister was married to one, and she's known as the bulldog of gay rights. So, and look her up in San Jose. Just type in, San Jose, California, bulldog gay rights, and one of those is her picture. And it turns into basically she's going every route that she can possibly think of. So that way we can get not technically getting like full custody of my father, but POA. So that way I have the forcing hand that says, no, he's to go to the doctor.
Right.
I have the forcing hand that says, no, he's not eating. He requires food every 2 hours. So I will have that forcing hand.
Now, how old is your father now?
73.
And the last photo, which I think was a clip from a YouTube short, showed him shoveling gravel outside of a fence.
Yep. He was digging ditches.
What kind of sense does that make in any world? What did you think when you saw that?
It made me want to vomit. Because I remember digging ditches. I remember all of the horrible things that the person that's standing next to you says so that you keep digging. And, your body should fit in it. And I get so disgusted that not only did I have to go through that, my dad is going through that.
Yeah. And at his age. And I can tell you for a fact, we got like 8 inches of snow dumped on us the other day. It was yesterday, as a matter of fact. And I'm out there shoveling. And do you know what the number one cause of heart attack in men over 50 years of age is?
Overexertion?
Shoveling snow. That's one of the number one reasons for heart attack is so many men my age and above, we get out there and we're shoveling snow. And before we even realize it, because we're just trotting along like we always do, next thing you know, they're on the ground. So, my wife's really big about, if you're out there, you're doing it, I want you to stop every 5 to 10 minutes. I want you to come sit down, chill out. The stupidity in me and the macho, the testosterone, whatever you want to call it, says, oh, you can finish this up, but I was done and I felt like I had just climbed a mountain. And
right.
So to think of your father out there, and he's 18 years older than I am, digging ditches. That is just absolutely, it's unforgivable, the way that you would treat someone like that. And I just don't see how they can justify it by any means. So folks, now, is there a way that folks can help you out?
Well, right now I just paid, like, she gave me a really good discount on the retainer because she still works for a firm. Mm-hmm. So the retainer is actually really well. When I actually go to like needing her to go to court, I will have to come up with $5,000.
Okay. Well,
and that's the firm minimum.
I see that our friend Clearwater Chad is in the chat, and I think there might be time for another chatathon to start raising some awareness there.
I wouldn't mind that. I actually really like Chad. I like his. It's like he has that sneak up and says something like you don't think anything's coming, and then he sneaks up and says something, and you're like, where did
He's
that
a
come
really good guy. He's one of my friends. We talk on the phone quite often. As I've said before, he and I are talking about planning on going down to Clearwater to do some 1A auditing down there together. And he's a great guy. And that's one of the things is I think so many people underestimate him.
Yeah.
They just think he's quiet. He doesn't do anything. The guy's funny as can be. And he's always doing stuff in the background that people don't even notice. And I watch the replays and it cracks me up watching some of the stuff this guy does. So yeah.
I missed that he used to give the weather report.
Oh
when
yeah,
I would stop by and see you, I missed the little weather report. I'm just saying.
When you see him on, that's the first thing I ask when I bring him on. What's the weather report? So he's I'm making sure we're keeping that alive. And I think, yep. And he says Chad agrees. So he
nice.
is. So we'll have to get together and plan one out and get a chatathon going, folks. This ain't gonna be a quick fight. And
no,
Liz needs
it's gonna be a long fight.
Yeah. And as I was saying the other day, a lot of people are not really aware of just how in-depth litigation is. It takes a long time. So we need to make sure we're showing that support and we're helping Liz out, showing my girl some love there. Let's see, trying to see if we got anything in the chats there before we really get rolling on this stuff.
The only thing I do have to mention before we get rolling, I know a lot of people are emailing me because I just got another one. We are planning on going to Los Angeles. I think I'm like $25 short on the amount for the car. But other than that,
right?
What?
You're monetized on your channel?
Yeah, I'm monetized on my channel.
So folks that are on Liz's live stream there, come on, folks, give our girl a hand up on this one. So get her down there to LA and let her start showing out like Mama Bear there. So
yep, because the goal is to go to Hemet. The goal is to go to Big Blue. The goal is to go to, I want to go to them all, to be completely honest. Yeah. I want everyone to know what they did to us.
Oh yeah. Did you see my video on calling all SPs?
Yep.
So folks, if again, I'm putting the call out there, I'm going to keep doing it. I've talked to Aaron Smith-Levin and he and I were talking about this, getting people out, getting out there and showing your, objection to Scientology and what they're doing. So if you go out there and you can be as simple as pull up, jump out with a sign, take a picture in front of the org or mission or whatever you have nearest you, send it to me. We're going to get it on this channel. Aaron has said that he'll get them on his channel. So everybody that sends them to me, I am shooting them over to him. You're going to get a lot of exposure on that. And if you have a new channel, ask Matt, who is got a new channel. He just did some First Amendment auditing in Canada there. And, I made sure to get his up there and I've sent the link over to Aaron on that as well. So folks, we really appreciate the love but we've got to get out there, get those boots on the ground and start making a difference in things. And the louder we are, the less the politicians can ignore us. So
that's right. I do have a couple of friends that have decided to go to the Sacramento org, which is right by the Golden One Center. In the process, thank you so much, Jen. In the process, they're going to take Pokemon cards. So that way they take a picture of the Pokemon card near it to show that they're there for me. Well, so if anybody else wants to do that, I don't care what the card is. You can just use an empty pack. I don't care. I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
I also put some things up. If you check out my YouTube community, I've got, if you want, because someone had said they wanted to do shirts for it. So I brought up some shirts. Let me see if I can find them real quick here. If you want to do it and you want a shirt, go to my community page. The pics are up there. There we go. That's a good one right there. All right. So let me show this. And I have them because I have a couple of folks that are Canadian and they wanted to do a Canadian shirt, but I did a Canadian shirt, I did a US shirt, and then I did one that just says flat out, proud to be an SP. So if you're looking for something like that, just click on the link on that page and it'll take you right on over to get them. But you don't have to do that. All right. That's for folks who are wanting the t-shirts and they're wanting to go that route. My thing is I want you to be safe. I want you to go with someone else. I want someone else documenting you. Be at least 18 years of age. Tomorrow
And
I've got
CYA.
Yeah, CYA, cover your butt. One of my things about 1A auditing is it's about not engaging. It's about documenting and getting out there and proving you have a constitutional right to do what you're doing. Protesting, you have a constitutional right as well. So, but the thing is that if we go in there, we go in loud and hard and start causing problems, you're going to get problems back. So we're looking towards peaceful protesting. Make sure you're at least 18 years of age of consent where you live, know the laws where you live as well. I have a live stream tomorrow night talking about Dr. K over in England and the problem that he just had with some Chinese tourists and what has gone on with that. And that I felt that bleeds perfectly into the whole point about calling all SPs. So make sure you cover your back on everything. So,
absolutely. Like there's Kelly's going to be working with me. She said she would help me do Save Bob Ferris in the front. And I want to see if we could do a Save Bob Ferris in the front and then, you know, CYA in the back, just to be like,
yeah,
you know, or word it a lot better. But either which way, like I want to make sure when we go down there to protest, and I've talked to Alicia, who I just saw in the chat, the degraded daughters.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Our degraded daughter. I apologize. I keep boo-booing. But we've had this conversation where we're going there peacefully. We're going there to let people know what's going on. And I'm going there to scream for my dad if we are able to make it to Hemet. Because that is my overall goal is I want to see Robert Ferris and I want him to look at me and I want him to just walk out of that bloody building with me.
And it's so sad that they're literally hiding him.
Yeah.
You know, and how much more good are you going to get out of the guy at 73 years old? Just let him have his twilight years and be comfortable for the rest of his life. Let him be with his daughter.
Right?
What's so wrong with that?
I think the problem is he was receiving. Now I've talked to someone that was considered one of his good friends. Mm-hmm. My father got his orders directly from DM.
Really?
And so a lot of people have told me that, like, where's Bob? Get this done. Oh, this isn't working. Where's Bob? Come tell, he got his orders directly from DM to either repair something or make it better.
Right.
So I think because my dad is such a shy, think about it this way. Everybody has that one friend that's super shy, that stands off to the corner and just wants to do what they want to do. But at the same time, nobody notices them.
Right.
And I think my dad's happened to see a few too many of those situations. And because he was in the real military, he was in the Air Force, he knows exactly what is now going on.
Yeah, I think that if he's out there digging ditches and everything like that, I believe that he's in faculty enough that he can at least understand what's going on around him. Yeah. So it's horrible. And then and that's why I decided to do tonight's live stream, was because we have so many people that are like Bob. We have so many families that are searching for family members that they're not being able to see, they're not able to contact, and they're being purposefully withheld from their families. And
absolutely,
we've said it from day one. What kind of church does this? What is your purpose? What are you doing? Let's see here. Joel McQueen, as a man that is almost 70 years old, things are not as easy to do. It's not as easy to do anything. Let him go. Amen. I was just talking about that out there shoveling that snow. My gosh.
Right. Well, there's also the Catherine Spallino, her parents, both her mom and dad are being taken care of at a place. We all know where it is, but we're gonna,
even
it's
Hebrew,
considered an old people retirement home,
yeah,
but they
even
won't let their family visit.
even Heber Jensch is being locked away. And look how high and mighty he was in the organization. And here's Zumi. They're wanting to know. Now, I believe you've already done this. Get a wellness checked on him by the
I've
police.
done 3.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I've done 3. So to be completely honest, you're probably the only officer that I like.
that's all right.
I know you're not, you've retired, but to be completely honest, I kept being promised that I was going to get to see the video so I could see if it was actually him. Denied.
Now,
I'm
is that
trying to
still
stay
going on? They're still
positive.
denying the video?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't see how they can do that.
So the person that was helping me is putting in a Freedom of Information Act request via legal.
Yeah.
So, because she knows what my dad looks like. She was married to his sister for 21 years. Yeah. She knows what my father looks like. Excellent. And so,
yeah,
go ahead.
This is ridiculous that they're doing it this way. Also, what are the next? I don't want you to go into it too far, and I don't want you to give up anything that you're not supposed to. But what can you tell us about what the next steps are if you do reach your funding goals and everything?
The steps are basically this, and this is just it's common sense for anyone that works with elderly. They have to answer a series of questions. Right. Now, who's the president, like nearest events, what happened? They ask them weird questions. Or not weird, I should say, but they would be weird for a Sea Org member, but for anyone out in the real world, like who's the president, that's easy. Right. For them, not so much.
Well, it's a cognitive ability test is what they're going to try. And it's a simple test. You see it a lot of times when people get knocked unconscious. How many fingers am I holding up? What year is it? Who's the president? Those kinds of things. And I think that's it's a pretty basic thing, but it's going to show what is needed with it. I think that he's going to be, unless they're actually training him for it, it's going to be hard.
It's going to catch him off guard, because you can go ahead and try to train my dad for it. I know every single thing that I've been able to find out in regards to my dad. Right. I don't know his wife very well, but hopefully her family will reach out to me one day. Again, if your daughter is named Chris Ferris, please reach out to me, and she's in the Sea Org. Wow. Please just reach out to me at savebobferris@gmail.com. I would appreciate just hearing from you. That would be my overall goal, so I can get some information on her and hopefully get her out as well.
Excellent. I'm putting that email right in there. So, and I'll do up a couple designs for t-shirts for you as well. Look at, are you using Fourth Wall for your,
my wife set up Fourth Wall. I haven't learned how to use it yet. Because again, I grew up in a cult, everybody. And, well, I'm really good with books, but computers, not so much.
That's why I said, I'll throw in a couple designs as well and email them over to you. So I think, something nice and bold across the front, like Bob Ferris is alive, let him go. And then on the back, why is Scientology holding my dad prisoner?
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be nice. I know Kelly knows how to do like everything on the back of her hand. Like she's just like, there isn't anything she doesn't know how to do.
Right.
So I'm hoping that she'll enlighten me and give me some tips and tricks.
Awesome. Well, there's some other folks I wanted to talk about in the world of Scientology who are, there's very suspicious circumstances surrounding the fact that they're no longer with us. And it's crazy. Have you ever heard of Sean Lonsdale?
No.
He was a critic of Scientology. He was actually they call him a notable nemesis. And he had been fighting hard against the Church of Scientology. And in 2006, I believe it is when he started videotaping workers outside of their offices and then airing the footage on public access. And he had a show called Cult Watch. And then on February 16th in 2008, the police were called to report of a terrible odor from his home. Entered the home and found he was no longer with us, and with a garden hose that led from his car into his house. And it was ruled a suicide.
That seems a little strange because on a forensic anthropology that they make you take in school, you have to take statistical averages. Statistical averages when a man commits suicide or a woman commits suicide due to carbon monoxide inhalation. They don't take they do use the hose, a garden hose, or they just start the car. Right. Like literally just sit in the garage in the back and start the car. But usually they find themselves sitting in the passenger or driver's seat with the hose attached and the windows closed.
And I can tell you, as I've actually come across those and seen it, and I have never seen one where a person went and filled their entire house with carbon monoxide like that. I've never heard of it.
Mathematically, that doesn't make sense. The amount of usually when a person, from a person that has done a lot of reading on suicide, you don't want, think about it. If the garage is a 25-foot walk for you, you've got to get a 50-foot hose. That is 50 feet that you have to go walk to your car and change your mind. And then 50 feet that you have to walk back. Most people, when they're getting to that point, they want something that they can set up quickly, not dragging from the house. That's going to take even longer to get. Like if they're going to commit suicide, it's going to take even longer to fill up that house than it would the car.
Yeah. And that's the probability of how long it's going to take to fill a house and still be at a high enough level that it's going to be non-livable. It's, I mean, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just stand in your garage? Why wouldn't you sit in the car? So it makes no sense in something like that. But that's the first person on our list, and he was just a critic of Scientology. And it's crazy. They don't let's see. Our next one it's Patrice Vic, and he lived in Lyon, France with I believe it was his wife Nellie, and he had briefly joined in 1988 and was in Scientology for a short time. And let's see, he was doing a purification treatment, and they insisted that he go through it. And they made him take out a bank loan, told him to take out a bank loan if he didn't have the money. And his wife refused, and the couple returned home and actually got into a big argument over it. And then his wife found out that he was spending a large amount of their money on Scientology. And it got to the point where he literally, instead of just sitting back and saying, where am I? We should just stop. I don't want to be with you anymore. I want to be with Scientology. He jumped out a 12th story window. And it's crazy. And then 8 years later, 22 members of the church were charged in connection with his death. And let's see, of course they did their typical thing where they said that this was all a religious witch hunt. But that's another name, is Patrice Vic. We have Lonsdale, now we have Vic. And these are, you never hear about these folks, but these are victims that, they deserve to be, their voice needs to be continued to be heard. Next, we've got Quentin Hubbard. Do you remember that name?
Yep. No, he died too. So yes, Quentin Hubbard it was speculated that he was of the gay. And because he was of the gay and his father hated the gay, he took his own life because he basically couldn't see living and just being disapproved of and treated like garbage for the rest of his life.
Right. I'm trying to see what year this happened, but do you know how he passed?
Wasn't it carbon monoxide poisoning?
Amazingly, they found him in a car in Las Vegas, and it was on October 28th. and they found a white Pontiac without a license plate, a young man unconscious inside. The engine was still running with a tube running from the exhaust pipe into the car.
Yeah.
This is Elron's son, and how many
But he would have
people
been
actually
he
know
would have
about
been the hugest problem.
it? Yeah,
Like I'm not trying to justify it. I'm not trying to make
right.
Elron dumbass feel any better about himself, you know,
No,
while he's sitting in hell for the shit that he's done. But if his son would have come out as gay, then he would have been forced to disconnect. That mama was not disconnecting from her baby. And if said mom's not going to disconnect, then and L. Ron Hubbard does, he loses his whole family. Then he's not a family man. You know, his whole image goes out the window.
right.
Now suddenly son dies, grieving parents just, oh, that's, and they're
Right.
making comments about how the problem has been taken care of. Been taken care of?
Wow. How
I'm just curious. Does that mean that someone is taking responsibility from the,
yeah.
crap of Scientology?
I mean, if I lost one of my children, I'd lose my mind.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And the I don't know how to say it, how unaffected they were and how it seemed so staged in their reactions to everything. That just I don't understand how you can be a parent and you can be that way. And here's one from Zoomy. Michael, let's see. Michael Patterson, a little boy that was on the free winds, apparently passed after being put in a chain locker by LRH. I wonder if they threw his body out to sea.
I wouldn't doubt that. That would honestly be, but you have people that say, "Oh, it was wonderful on the ship." No, Sea Org is the Sea Org.
Yeah. But even if you're in the Navy, any Navy in the world, you're going to get better treatment than that, But I guess it's more important that you're saving the world than your billion-year contract. And Mary Smith, that's an interesting choice of words. The problem was taken care of.
Yeah.
That seems to be a common phrase in Scientology, doesn't it?
It turns out to be, the first time, because growing up and I mean as a child, I did not know that he had a son. I knew he had daughters.
Wow.
But I did not know he had a son. Now, whether it was my mom just didn't know or didn't fill me in, but no, I never knew he had a son. And, it's like, how many people don't know that he had a son?
Right. And that's, I know it because of looking back through the history and everything and reading the books and then talking with Miller about, how things had gone on in the early days of the church. But it's insane how so many people keep getting swept under the rug. And it seems like they do it so easily and so callously. I think that's the best word, is callously. Let's see. And Zumi says this information he got from Janice. So that would have to be from Janice Gillen Grady. And I think that if anybody's a living architect or archaeologist,
Archive.
yeah, she would be that person. Janice knows a whole lot of things that people didn't know. Is he the one that called people nibs?
Nibs. You would have to ask Oh No Nora. Like, she has the memory of, for lack of better words, an elephant, because literally she remembers everything.
How is Nora doing?
She's doing good. She's excited about the trip coming up.
Excellent.
I know that a few of my I think my mods are still popping up the Venmos for Nora, as well as the wish list for Nora, Alicia, Liz Gale, as well as myself, because we still have some items on there. But yeah, Nora's doing great. Liz Gale, she's doing great. Alicia and I talk almost every single day,
Awesome.
just so that we understand and are on the same page.
Yeah, and I just saw Liz Gale earlier. She was on live, and she seems like she's doing really good. I can't wait to talk to her. I know that she's reached out through Maryland, so hopefully she and I will be able to talk pretty soon here. Joel McCoyne, I am from the 50s, and there was a strong stigma to be gay. But there are so many of us that went through that time and have not let it take hold of us. We are just folks. They are wrong, or they were wrong. And I agree. I'm just, I'm a child of the 60s. And, even though that was the free love era and all that, there was a heavy stigma on anything LGBT all the way up into the early 2000s. There was still a big stigma about that. And we all know that Great Britain is one of the first nations that is really being open and being welcoming to it. But if you look back at their sitcoms from the 90s, the 2000s, all the way up into the late 2000s, there's still a lot of anti-LGBT stuff that's in there. So it's, pretty much every one of us that's alive now has seen that transition and seen that how it used to be and how things are now.
Yes.
I'm truly one of those people that I believe be who you are. It's not, I'm not here to make judgments on anyone, but if I'll take that back. There are some things that, I will make a judgment on, but certainly not your life choice or who you are.
Right.
So that's just,
I'll make a judgment on behavior, ego, how you treat other people. Yeah, I'll make a judgment on that.
And I got to say, there is a real difference between the second gens and a lot of the what would be considered OGs.
Yeah.
You guys seem much more open, much more. With the OGs, there's almost like a standoffishness that you see with a lot of them. Aaron, of course, is one of those that he's in his own world. He's different than a lot of the others. But I'll say Janice and Mark are not that way either. But you see from a lot of them that kind of almost standoffishness that we don't see from the second gens. You guys are a whole lot more welcoming and a lot easier to deal with. I can say that.
So. Yeah, and I think it has a lot to do because I consider Aaron more of a second gen. I consider
he was.
I was a little jealous of Liz Gale that she got to give him a hug. I'll be honest, because I think that man has done miracles.
Yes.
But at the same time, I think with the older generation, they're so used to the OSA RTC mentality that they've let go a lot of the Scientology, but behavior that they've had for 30, 40 years.
That's correct.
It's hard to let go of. I personally don't know for a certainty, but sometimes when someone is trying to command authority and trying to get you to listen to something, their tone raises up.
Correct.
And when the tone raises up, it can be very demeaning.
And that's I've had a lot of people that have either emailed me or messaged me, and they're like, well, I tried to talk to this person and I just don't like the attitude I got out of it. And exactly like what you're saying. The other day when I was going over the Aaron Smith Levin arrest, people were commenting, oh, that officer stands cocky, or I don't like the way he looks, and I don't like the way that they did this or that. And I had to explain that the officers train continually in different things. And that's like what you were talking about with a lot of the older gens. They were what it is it's muscle memory. That's how they've been for decades. And it's hard to break that, folks. So you just got to piece through it. You'll be all right. You just have to be patient with them. That's what I do. And I try to,
see a therapist. It's very helpful. It helps you get rid of a lot of the other stuff. But to be completely honest, since you gave me your opinion on Talman, right? I personally have no opinion on, I thought I would have no opinion on Talman. But once it was starting to come out that he's singing at the Celebrity Center.
Oh, yeah.
Once that it was also, one of the YouTubers or the TikTokers, I forget which one it was. Someone in the chat can definitely remind me, got basically an interview with the police officer. Now, most of the people that are coming over, like let's say the cops that are being called, they're on overtime. So let's say they're making $45 an hour in overtime. There's 10 of them, $450. Okay. That bill gets sent over because the police department pays them, but then the police department is reimbursed from Scientology.
Yep.
So here's the trick, everybody. One hand wipes the other hand. If one hand wipes the other one, that means one hand is in another pocket.
Yep.
Because you don't see normal average citizens being charged for overtime.
No.
Oh, okay. Why? Because it's an actual emergency.
Mm-hmm. And that's, well, number one, our taxes are paying for that overtime to begin with. But the thing is that if someone had asked in my live night before last, they'd asked if that was common. And yes, it is very common with a lot of departments around this country where there is going to be an event or there's an organization that's having something going on. And they will hire off-duty police officers who will be there in uniform. They will be paid by their department. The department's getting the reimbursement. So it is very common that this happens. But to the extent that some of these organizations are using it is just absolutely ridiculous.
Right? How did they get to abuse the system and just, it's like they're bitch slapping. Sorry for the cussing, but
Right.
it is like the lady justice, like just walk up and just hit her a bunch of times because there's no level playing field on that one. That means directly in Scientology's pocket.
I put it up there with a lot of cities nowadays have what is called a dedicated, it's a dedicated traffic program where officers can sign up to volunteer to work traffic detail. They're getting paid overtime for it, and they have to write X amount of tickets in doing it. The way that they avoid the, violating constitutional rights on it for quotas and such is you have to volunteer to be, I got a comment.
Yeah, voice of the crying. Yeah, I just thought that too. I was like, good comment.
But the thing is that they are, I've lost it. I'm going to get to this comment. Seems like I'm making excuses for horrible actions by some execs. Where are you hearing this? I'm not talking about actions that have been made. I'm talking about
that might be a comment to me. I don't know, but
no, it says I seem like I'm making excuses. It says post seems like he's making excuses. I'm not making excuses for anyone. Everyone falls on their own footsteps, not me. I'm not here to say that something that someone did while they were in Scientology is right or wrong, or we should overlook that. I'm talking about the attitudes and the persona that a lot of people are seeing. It has nothing to do with the actions that were taken. Liz and I just had a nice conversation about this stuff off air, and believe me, I believe that there's some folks that need to be held accountable.
And I'll continue part of my chat. It's basically the same thing that I've said in a bunch of situations. LRH was here, you had, God dang it. Now I just forgot his name. And then you had Claire, and then you had all of these other people. Then you had Mike.
Oh, okay.
No, Mike was not above Claire. So then in this situation, the orders trickle down.
Okay.
She was RTC. It's kind of.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Are you talking about Heber or who are you?
Heber Gents.
Yeah.
But either which way, you have all of these people, and even me as a piddly person at Celebrity Center Network. Okay, I was the estates project force in charge, and I held quite a few positions, to be completely honest.
Right.
But my orders would come from the LRH comm, and she would tell me, "Hey, I need to get this picture done. This picture done. That person's looking a little fat. You need to get them to lose some weight."
Wow.
That person is not doing well in training. You need to get them to realize just how important this is. And so in the process of it, it's just like, I remember yelling at people. Like I was I was a chunkier kid. Like I was like, I'm not saying I was like
You're singing to
a
the choir
size
here.
2. I was literally, I think, a size 12, but I had a V, everybody. And no, I don't need to justify anything other than that. But because my boss told me that that person is too overweight, that person was put on a diet.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you see can you decipher that? WDCOCA
Mike was WC.
CMOINT.
So he was above her?
Hmm.
I thought it was the other way around. Maybe I'm mistaken. I'll have to talk to Nora when we're all done.
Mastiff Mom was saying that Nora said render, answered, declare.
Okay. So if Nora said render, answer, declare, that's
pretty high up.
Yeah. But, you know, I think everybody has the potential to change. Everybody has the potential to be the person they want to be. I want to be a different person than the person that was screaming at people. So basically it was, oh, she was not his direct senior. Okay. That makes a little bit more sense. Okay. But it basically, I want to repent for the horrible things that I did to people and I said to people, because the trickling of orders came down the pipeline, you know, and then my boss would tell me, well, you're just as fat. You're now on the diet. But I didn't have, like, I wasn't obese. When I say size 12, I was, you know, it's the average size, people.
I mean, you looking at, I mean, I'm nowhere near as big as I was before I broke my back, but I've always been large frame. There was no way I was ever, the last time I was under 200 pounds was just before I went into the Army. And that was, Lord, I can't tell you how many decades ago that was, but I've never been under 200 pounds since that time. And it's just, I'm just a large frame. And no matter what I do, I always carry a large frame. So but organizations like that, apparently they don't take those kinds of things into.
Yeah. Your frame means absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I promise your frame means absolutely nothing. It's just whether or not you can fit into a size 2 or 0. And thanks to some craftiness, I did fit into a size 2.
And their, thing is that I wouldn't doubt what it's cheaper for them just to not have to worry about it. Our next name on the list is somebody that everyone should know about and is one of the most disgusting events that happened in Scientology. And that's Alexander Jensch, Karen Della Carriere's son, Heber Jensch's son.
He had pneumonia. From my understanding, he had pneumonia. Instead of them taking him to the doctor or any doctor to get antibiotics, he got to suffer and die from pneumonia.
Here's what is amazing to me, and this is what's the published statements of it, was in July of 2012. They had seen him, he was sleeping in his bed, that they didn't see him get up. It was not for 12 hours later that they actually went in and checked on him again, and that's when they found him motionless. And they're saying that it was a bad reaction to prescribed painkillers. That's just insane to begin with, but how they handled it afterwards, I think, was the most disgusting part of it all.
And here's the thing. So you have a medical officer that you have to go to. And so, like, when I had a tooth that was worked on by the dentist, and it was a catastrophe. And the problem with that tooth, it was infected. They would not give me anything except Tylenol. And they would only give you 2 Tylenols. And this was regular strength, people. So before you think it was like Tylenol with codeine or Tylenol, extra rapid release. No, this was just 2 standard Tylenol. And then that's all you were given until the next morning when you get to go see the medical officer again and get 2 more Tylenol. Like, the idea that he would be able to have a large quantity of medication in his system is preposterous.
Yeah. Plus he had gone through a lot of the rehabilitation training, those kinds of things. And it was horrible. The story's horrible to begin with. Then on top of it, you have the fact that you have this young person is gone, and how they excluded his own mother. They didn't even want, she found out through other means, and they excluded her from it. And every time you talk to her, and when this comes up, you can just tell the pain in her heart. And this poor lady, she went to have a celebration of life ceremony for her son, since she couldn't attend the actual services. And what do? They decide they're going to have their own celebration at that point. Up till then, there was nothing said about anything that was going on. But the minute that she says she's going to have a celebration for her son, well, then they've got to have a bigger gala for it.
Yeah.
Just the complete, I don't know what you call it. It's just, the more that I see about what's going on with Scientology and how that they are treating their own people, it's the more that it disgusts me to my core.
Yeah.
So,
now I will tell you something a lot of people don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So, because it's easy to talk to you. So Serge Obolinski and I grew up together at AOLA. Okay. Mm-hmm. My first boyfriend was his youngest brother, Sasha Obolinski. Like, I loved that boy. Not like you should love someone if you're going to marry them, but loved that boy. He was my best friend. Well, after I left the Sea Org was the last time I had talked to him. So the last time I had talked to Sasha Obolinski.
Wow.
Now, I had not talked to Serge in years, but, you know, I remember talking to him, and he was broken that nobody, not his mother, not his father, nobody called him to tell him that his brother Sasha had died. We were sitting there at a restaurant, and he goes, "You were with Sasha, remember? Did you know he died?" And I'm like, "Yeah, buddy, I knew he died." And he's like, "That's just sad, huh?"
How long?
Like, nobody called me.
Yeah, how long was it after his brother had passed before he found out? Do you know?
As far as I know, it was like 10 years. Wow. And so it's like it broke my heart. So it doesn't just happen, inside those walls. Sea Org members are doing it to their family outside as well.
Yeah. And voice of crying, it's nuts, but also really sad when you think about how they're scamming so many people. Mm-hmm. They're portraying themselves as this great malevolent charity that's out there trying to help everyone.
You're not really helping a single person.
Well, we've seen the videos of them where they were in Florida after the hurricane came through. And you see them out there trudging through the deep waters to take bottles of water to people at their houses. Then you realize that they're in water that's ankle deep and they're sitting down in it. So
yes, first of all, it's called a Kodak moment.
Mm-hmm.
One, I guarantee you, there's homeless people all around every org that I've ever been near. Yeah. Okay, they're spraying them down. Are they giving them water?
I was just about to say that.
Are they giving them a sandwich? Or you know what? Let's do this one even better. Are you giving them rice and beans? Because that's probably what the staff is eating. So are you giving them rice and beans because they're homeless? No.
But
when catastrophes happen, when catastrophes happen, it's a Kodak moment. It's known as like a PR scene. So what they do is they get celebrities like John Travolta to load up his plane with water, with goods, with anything that they can do. They fly into the area. They put on their pretty minister's shirt, mm-hmm. and then they hand it out. Well, but even at the end of handing it out, not one of those volunteer ministers is dirty. Like you just hand it out to who?
I'd like to know about the ordination process and how they legally justify calling them ministers. But what is safe pointing?
So it's basically, from my understanding, Now, if I'm wrong, Blow Drill, you have to let me know. So safe pointing is basically putting yourself out there that you're a safe point. So it's making it's almost making yourself look pretty. That's how my mom always explained it. And, because I never understood and I do say because at the time when I was a kid that they would fly out there. I could never understand why they were never dirty. And it's just to hand out the way to happiness.
Yeah. Oh, here it is right here. Salvation Army this is from Mandy McGee. Salvation Army is like that. Act all charitable, then not hire gay people or refuse to help gay people. It gives to anti-gay organizations. How in the world does that organization consider itself a Christian organization? Jesus himself sat with the liars, the criminals, the sex workers, all the people who were considered the lowest of the low, and he ministered to them. So how can they consider themselves a Christian organization and exclude anyone from help?
Right.
That's ridiculous.
Now, if it's a camera moment for Scientology, let's say there's a gay person and it's a camera moment, maybe they're bleeding. Well, you will see that person go up and hand them water and hand them a cloth and hand them a way to happiness.
Blow Drill, was that correct about safe pointing? And that those are the things, like we were talking about. They have the air rafts that they are dragging around in this water, acting like they are out there trudging through crocodile infested waters to get to these people, and you find out the water's no higher than their socks. So it's just, we see that in a lot of different things, in a lot of different, especially when you're talking about in communist countries, where they're always trying to present this positive image of everything. And I've seen videos where these workers show up that are government workers, and they take a photograph of them all digging into the dirt. What they don't show is the video of them showing up, sticking their shovels in the dirt, getting the picture taken, and then getting right back in the truck and leaving. They ain't doing nothing for nobody.
No. And that's Scientology right there in a nutshell.
Here's a question from Matt. Aren't the volunteer ministers just a front group that Scientology uses to self-promote to their members and actually don't do anything? I would agree with that.
It's more of a front group to make it look like Scientology does help others. It's a Kodak moment that will be at LRH's birthday. Mm-hmm. That'll be sitting there saying, "Oh, look at what we've done to the horrible situation that happened with Katrina. Oh, look at that. Oh, an oil spill. Look how we helped everybody." It's a Kodak moment.
How many times have we seen Miscavige on video get up there and absolutely lie?
We saved 2 million new Scientologists.
Yeah, we've done this. We saved the Ukraine from Russia. How did we do it? We went in there with the will of Scientology. I mean, that's the kind of things I would expect from him. Let's see, Mandy. Those Kodak moments are
vomit. Yep.
Let's see. What was this one? Let's see. Buying the way to happiness from the most unhappy, unfriendly, intolerant people is a lot like buying a bridge to total freedom from someone bound to a 1,000,000-year slave contract. I think that's a pretty good
hey, a lot of us as kids thought 1 billion years is not that long, because look how responsible we are now, even though we're 16 and we're signing this paper. Yeah, no. A lot of us didn't think 1 billion years was that long.
Yeah, it's incomprehensible. Who's the lady that looks into all the stuff Scientology reports they do, and she basically confirms they are lying? Can't think of her name right now. Do you know who that is?
We have a few people. There's a few reporters that do that, and of course, the amazing Aaron.
Yes.
He likes to out that information.
But I don't think he identifies as a lady, though.
True. But he's a lady killer. How about that? But Aaron out said, I don't know of very many other people. I watch a lot of SBTV so I can cheer on my friends that have also become my family. So I don't watch the news or a lot of my other programs anymore because there's only so many hours in the day.
Oh, I know, believe me. And, and God bless Aaron. That guy can get out there and put that much content out on a daily basis, but I don't see how he's doing it, honestly. Let's see.
DJ investigates.
Yeah, there's a lot. Let's see. Yep. Thank you, Born Ancient, and welcome back. Let's see here. Somewhere I used to live the HL. What is that? But stopped shopping there 8 years ago. Kiss my hiney, HL.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, she must have been responding to someone else. I was like, is this more Scientology stuff?
I don't think so.
Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, so, I've never been inside a Hobby Lobby. I'll be honest. I've never been inside one.
I have. I think it's overpriced junk, if you ask me. But there's a lot of people like it. It's all trinket stuff I can make with my laser or CNC or something like that, and they're going to charge you an arm and a leg for it. For
yes, they are.
Make. So let's see. She was never in. Was on Leah and Mike's podcast. I think I remember that. I can't remember what her name is. Let's see.
It's not Rabbit. Rabbit is a lot. Is our generation.
Well, let's see. Kate Eliza, who is the congressperson for gold? Maybe they should be asking them to do something about Bob Ferris.
If you're talking about the Hemet, it'd be the Hemet governor. I don't know if there's who it is. It's a very small town. When I tell you very small town, they have a casino. It's not that big of a casino. They have a couple of restaurants, but other than that, it's a really small town. Wow. At least my impression of it.
But who would their congressperson is getting in campaign donations and things like that throughout the Scientology network. So it'd be interesting to see. I've been talking with one of the big problems, and I can tell you this personally from talking with a lot of people from members who are representatives, and then also a couple of senators to the United States Senate. And I had one flat out tell me, he says, I'd love to do it, but there's two problems. Number one, I am so backed up on everything I've got, including Russia, Ukraine, China, Iran, everything that's going on. He goes, we have to be on top of all that. And then on top of it, he said, and he was very honest about it. He said, a lot of people who are in this, that are in the Senate or they're in Congress, unless it's going to get big time attention from the media, they probably won't do anything with it. So, yeah.
But it's good to know that Hemet has a town council.
And the thing is that you'll probably just get a nice little form letter back from them. It's when it gets too big for them to ignore. That's when they'll finally take action. Yeah. Pretty much every one of our laws that we have are other than the base laws, a lot of laws and ordinances that are out there are reactions to something that has happened. So you got to have that loud enough voice, and it's got to get enough attention. And that's when your politicians are going to start looking and paying attention to it, because otherwise they're just going to keep on doing what they always do. And that's normal. Normally it seems like they're just helping themselves out. Summer, in the name of God, yet again. Well, I mean, it's not just Christianity. There are a bunch of religions that if we did the body count from all of the actions that were taken in the name of God or a divine power, it would be astronomical. There have been so many wars fought over religious belief and atrocities. And just like in the case of Scientology, it's all done in the name of that belief. And there seems to be no repercussion that comes from it. So believe me, I understand you completely, but we got to remember that it's not just Christianity. There's a lot of different religions that do that.
Absolutely. And I won't judge something that I don't understand.
Yeah. And Mastiff, Missy, believe me, we haven't had actual cable here at our house in probably 2 years now. Everything is live streaming in our house. Netflix, we've got the Amazon Prime. As a matter of fact, we use Amazon Fire Stick, and I'm not getting paid by
Me
them, so
too.
believe me.
I wouldn't mind being sponsored by Fire Stick, but more or less, Apple is my way to go. So if they want to say hi to me, I wouldn't mind that.
I just, I tried watching Apple TV, but most of their stuff was so boring to me. I like action, stuff like that, and I like good comedies. Erica, sorry, I just got on. It's not illegal or something to tell someone that someone is deceased. Sounds like a lawsuit of some kind to me. Clearly, that caused pain and suffering. Couldn't you sue them? Well, first off, her father's alive, and
Yeah,
we're trying to
it becomes the he said, she said, and my dad is alive. And that's where it gets difficult. Had I recorded the conversation that I got, that would no longer become he said, she said. It would be viable proof.
And also, you've learned a lot about the system and what is and is not pertinent to any case, haven't you?
Yeah. Carrie knows a lot of the legal system, but definitely reaching out for legal advice and legal assistance definitely helps.
And a lot of people say, well, you know so much about the law. I know it from a police officer's perspective. I know from the criminal side of it. I know very little about the civil side, the lawsuits, torts, whatever you want to call them. But even I'm talking with Zach, our lawyer friend Zach, and I'll say, well, what about this? And he'll go, you're missing the big picture. He goes, that might be something that might be fill in at some point. But the thing is that we want to look at the big picture, and that's what we want to fight the battle on. And it started making me think about, different ways that we look into things and what are the actual important points that we want to hit on, because sometimes you can get so caught up in what you think is the actual point, and it has little to nothing to do with what you're going to be able to accomplish through your case. Let's see. Well, Jane, the fact is that you may not know what's going on in the world. YouTube, all of these different live streaming channels that are out there, there are so many places you can get independent news. I refuse to watch mainstream media.
Yeah, I refuse the commercials.
Oh my gosh, I can't even stand that. Oh, before I even started the channel, we had YouTube Premium just simply because we got so tired of commercials every 5 seconds and stuff that we were wanting to watch. But yeah, if you expand out, there are a lot of independent, unbiased news outlets out there that you can actually get news that you're not worrying about it being propaganda in either direction. I don't like it. I won't watch Fox. I won't watch CNN or MSNBC, any of them, because one of the things that really kills me is, hey, we're going to have a talk about this brought to you by a company that makes that product. And so that, it just shows me that there's no real unbiased nature with that. Let's see. Oh, a very good one. Adolf said you can persuade a person to engage in all kinds of evil if you first persuade them that it is for God and the Holy Motherland. Yep.
Yeah, you can persuade anyone to do anything. Like, did I ever think that I would, be on rice and beans? No. I thought the dorms were going to be cool. We're going to be nice. They were so much better than they were when we were kids. They're the exact same. Nothing changed.
You just moved into the same old shite, just a different day.
Yep. Now the windows, instead of going up and down or you have to crank open, this one had little sliders. And you would basically like lift it up, lift it down, lift it up. But there was no airflow, people. So if someone was gassy in the room, me, sorry guys, you had to smell it all.
Yeah, that's life. Let's see. Oh, I had satellite. We loved it, but it wasn't that expensive. Let's see. Looking at this last one here. If you could persuade people to do evil in the name of God or country, you ought to be able to do good for God and country. Seems logical. Right. That's what you would think. But let's remember, and Scientology is a perfect example. It's about, just like with the military, what you're doing is you're breaking that person down psychologically. and then you're rebuilding them with your beliefs.
Or the image of what you want them to be.
Correct. And so that, and having been in the Army, lots of friends that are, well, once a Marine, always a Marine, but it's the same thing. It's completely about, the only difference is in the military, they break you down mentally and physically. And then they rebuild you into the soldier or the Marine or the air person that they want you to be. And so, a lot of these organizations have just basically taken that game plan, switched it around, and instead of country, they're putting in their own religious beliefs into it. And it becomes a lifestyle for these people. That's what they're willing to go out and put their lives on the line for it. And
yeah, because in Scientology, they beat you down until, guess what? You're broken, and they rebuild you in the best cult member you can be.
Exactly.
And so then it's like, you don't realize, being beat down and tortured, you're being told you're going to lose everyone in your life. So you're not going to the police. Plus, you've always been told, do not go to the police or you will be declared a suppressive person. And you have all of these fears, but they're doing it to break you down so that they can mold you into the perfect Sea Org member.
So can you tell us what the Oxford Capacity Analysis is? The OCA.
OCA. Hold on, because now I'm not ringing any bells. Might be.
It's the personality test that they give people.
Oh, the Oxford analysis. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember taking it,
and
at first I was told, "Congratulations, you made it, but you did not have a perfect score."
Right.
So I was like, "Oh, can I take it again?" She's like, "You want to take it again?" I'm like, "Yeah, you said I didn't get a perfect score. I like perfect scores." And she's like, "There's no way to make a perfect score." I was like, "Then why are we doing the test?"
It's Blow Drill says it's 200 questions long. And the reason I bring that up is because back in 2008, a Norwegian girl by the name of Kaja Balo, shortly after taking the OCA, took herself out of this world. And they said that until she had taken that and gotten her results back, she had been this beautiful, bright, happy young lady who one day was walking past either an org or a mission, and they said, "Hey, would you like to take a free personality test?" And that, when the results came back, it so impacted this young lady that she took herself out of this world. And when we think about this, we hear about a lot of the people here, but like with Patrice Vick, and now we have Kaja Balo, and they're not from the United States. We have France, we have Norway, and the names of people just keep racking up, and it's amazing to me. There was one, I don't know.
I was almost one of them. So, I mean, do I believe that? Absolutely. I do want to say yes. Whenever we're mentioning the information of someone taking their own life, I do want to say it's a trigger warning. But I was almost one of them. If the security guard hadn't grabbed my arm, I was heading off I believe it was a 5-story building at full speed. So,
and what's interesting was that's very similar to Pedro Raimondo. Do you know that name at all?
Pedro does sound familiar.
I had 22 years old on November 25th, 1986. He jumped off the 6th floor of a church-owned building in Hollywood. And his mother actually filed a lawsuit and against the church. I don't have the results of the lawsuit. I've been trying to find them. But the thing is that, like we've been talking about from the beginning, the list of names just keeps compounding. And it's not slowing down. I mean, especially when we've got the Whitney Mills, what just happened with Whitney Mills, and that was just last year. There are so many people that are gone that directly involved in one way or another with Scientology. Think
And then
about
they'll
that.
blame it on squirrel tech. I promise you, they'll blame it. They'll say someone needs to go over her file. Once they're going over her file, that you need to find out where the problem happened. And she got squirrel tech. That's all. Da, 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 da. No, it's the fact that she even believed in Scientology at all.
Yeah, it's that it to me it's just absolutely it's numbing almost, and I think that that's part of the tactics that are used is that if there's a whole new thing, well, yeah, that might have happened, but it's not really involved with us. And quite honestly, is the person who's suing us a religious bigot? Is that what their real problem is? So it's always shifting and laying the blame at the feet of other people. Blow drill, they locate where you are lacking and then offer Scientology services to handle them. Great point to bring up. Thank you. I saw on Liz Gale's live stream earlier, and I believe it's Without a Hellcat. What's his first name? Do you know?
Chris Without a Hellcat.
How he had approached a gentleman who was going for the free actors class there in Hollywood.
The recruitment seminar?
Yeah. And this gentleman is someone, he's not American born. He still has it seemed like a pretty heavy accent. And I really appreciated the way that Chris handled that, where he was like, hey, are you going for the free acting class? The guy's like, yeah. And he starts telling him, the gentleman was Muslim, and he used a term that indicates that it's a scam to him or it's bad for anyone in Islam. And the guy's just, you could see in his eyes, he was just shocked. And he goes, look at this building. Do you think that they pay for this building with free acting classes?
I loved his comeback. I honestly did, because it's true. The people that are scrubbing that building are Sea Org members. The people that are keeping up repairs are Sea Org members. Realistically, that comeback was beautiful.
Yeah.
And yes, a blow drill, Chris Without a Hellcat. Someone know a dealership that's willing to get this boy a Hellcat, even if it's a used one that needs a little repair.
Hey, if his channel keeps growing, he'll be able to get it pretty soon here. So, yeah. Oh, he was
and
from
speaking of growing, I'm almost at 3,000. I'm
awesome.
50 away from 3,000. My goal before I head to LA with all my friends, my goal is to be at 4,000 before February, the end of February.
And if you are not subscribed to Liz's channel, make sure you get your hind end over there and you subscribe to that channel. Let's see. One Love, 51,000. Thank you for bringing these people to our attention. They deserve it. And that's the whole point of it, is that we are, Liz's father. We can't forget. We can't let this just fall to the wayside. The more that we bring it up, the more it becomes invested in us, and we don't let it go. But we can't. And again, I am in no way saying that we shouldn't be thinking about Shelley Miscavige or some of the other bigger names that are involved in Scientology. I'm just asking that we please just make sure that we are remembering the others that aren't so well known.
Absolutely, because there's a lot of them.
Yeah. And let's see. So yeah, I talking with Aaron, I was amazed. I jumped up over 1,500 subscribers in like 3 days time. And I was just like, what the heck? But, I called Aaron and I said, hey, thanks for getting arrested. I appreciate it, bud. So we need to get
I'm sure that was his first thought too. He's like, man, I totally helped Poe when I got arrested.
And he was very grateful.
He will owe me a beer.
Let's see. He's still going live, but his YouTube is not streaming. Oh, his channel got locked?
Yeah, how did you? It is really hard to lock YouTube.
Wow.
Okay. Oh, so that means everybody, if you are watching some of us live, your best bet is to download it. So that way you guys can see it again, because otherwise it sounds like we're being taken down, but we'll just
Well,
pop a new one up.
And I'm not going to give a voice to the name, but something I've found interesting is the absolutely horrific homophobic statements that have been made online, and how this person hasn't been taken down themselves because of that. I mean, just the distress it's caused to one person that we know in this community.
Okay, just his TikTok was locked. Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, just his TikTok. Okay, as long as his YouTube's still up. And I like this from Mandy about doing little memorials outside of the building. That's awesome.
Yes.
Like a sign with the names on it. You are not forgotten. Victims of Scientology, we must remember, and then the names listed underneath of it. I think that's awesome. That would be great.
I like that. Great idea, Mandy.
Let's see. For those that no one knows, they are even gone or that are from other countries, their stories need to be told. Yes. And if you know of people that are victims that you don't hear about, send me the info. Send me what we've got on it. And that I think that would I will definitely get them on there. I think it'd be interesting, like every month or so, do like a memorial type live stream where we just talk about these people over and over again, so we keep them in
absolutely
mind.
Keep everyone going, because even if let's knock on wood, but even if, like, let's say something happens to my dad and I don't get to see him, I'm going to keep his memory alive. Yes. I'm going to do everything I can to move on to the next parent or the next person or whatever it has to be. Just because something happens doesn't mean we stop the journey.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that it's, I hate thinking about that prospect, but that is a possible prospect you may have to deal with.
Yeah.
But we still have to keep him in memory. We still have to keep, they say that immortality is that someone remembers you after you're gone. And what was that? I think it was Disney or Pixar came out with a movie about that, where the young man actually crossed over.
Coco.
Yeah, Coco. I love that movie. And, and it's very telling, because look how many people have gone that no one remembers anymore.
True.
And that's a sad thing. So we need to make sure that we're keeping, because some of these people, like, they passed away a long time ago. And how many people in their family still are alive that remember them? So we've got to make sure that we keep this going. T-shirts with their names to memorialize. Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea too.
Absolutely, with everyone's name that's passed.
I mean, you put it on the back, almost like a tour dates on a tour T-shirt. Would be.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Let's see. Nisa comment: Scientology does all these honorable things, and they claim to be the victims. That's a very. Well, going through PR schooling when I was in law enforcement, one of the things that they stressed on is a nice way to deflect in a bad situation is turn yourself into a victim of something else. And that's the whole thing, is it's about making people think of something else so they're not thinking about what you've done. Let's see.
So then, in the beginning, we were one, not sexual. The divide splits us two snakes.
Oh, okay. I originally wasn't understanding that. I believe that's about like Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. So, yeah, that's let's see.
Yep, Coco is a great movie. I will say that when he goes running to his grandma, oh, don't you remember? And I'm like, oh, like, that is the cutest little thing ever. Like, I can't wait for the live action Coco.
Oh, they're going to do a live action of it?
I don't know, but I need them to.
I don't know. I some of these live actions, they just don't seem to have the heart and spirit that the animated portions do. I mean, it's let's see. first gens didn't have the extreme childhood trauma that Scientology inflicts.
That is open to interpretation. So if you're saying like the OGs, the originals that started, that, you know, that had this image of what it was, and I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't a first generation. My mom was, and she absolutely adored it. She, you know, like if you could say anything, I'm sure Hubbard walked on water. Like he floated like he floated like a little bumblebee.
We had Janice on, and she was talking about, you know, being on that first ship that Hubbard had, and how he would go through with a white glove test in the bowels of a ship that's nothing but grease and dirt. And they would have to get that thing clean, and they couldn't stop until it was to his liking.
Spotless. Where they take a white glove and they run it along the surface. That's how you pass or fail.
But you know, yeah, I agree. I don't get the feeling from Janice and some of the others that were the originals. They were committed to what they were doing, and they just dealt with it. So I think that was, I don't think that they had to go through some of the trauma that the next generations did. But I think that because of their commitment and the way that they felt, it might have been a little bit different in how it was handled. Plus, they were dealing directly with L. Ron Hubbard.
Correct. And at the same time, it could have just been something as simple as maybe it got worse every generation. It got worse every go round of new people. But either which way, it was, for me, it you know, when I hear some of the originals talk about it, I'm like, man, I didn't have it like that. Like that wasn't like that for me. Like,
yeah. Well, think about the disconnect generation to generation, where, you know, the first ones in, they're learning all these things from Hubbard, and they were looking at him like he was a deity himself. I mean, you hear him talk about sitting on the bow of the ship and at night with him sitting there with his glass of brandy or whatever he had, and telling them stories about space and everything. And they were just all so locked in on it. The next generation that came in are now being handled by that first generation who are acting under Hubbard's direction. And then it just increases as it goes. So it's, I could see that it's probably gotten much worse than it originally started. Let's see. Charles Kaufman, I never thought about the magnitude of horror that that Scientology inflicted. It was always hidden from view, and I was never able to grasp the whole picture. That's
correct.
Perfect working of it. That's what they work towards. Let's see. L. Good evening, Mr. Poe. Hope you're well. Could you please cast your professional eye on a parent? We were just talking about that just a little bit earlier, and how just unplausible that sounds, that someone would run a garden hose or a hose period from their exhaust all the way into their house, when 99.9% of all people who do it that way either sit in the car or they're inside the garage where it's happening. So yeah, we were talking about that. It was, I don't get it, but you know,
yeah, it just doesn't mathematically make sense to me where someone would go so far, and basically you're risking your family when most people are attempting to end their, you know, existence. They're wanting to do solo ending of existence. If you're filling up a house full of carbon monoxide, anybody that walks into the house, so let's say people had kids, your kids are going to walk in there, and guess what? If it's actually full of carbon monoxide, you're going to kill your kids, and they're going to think about that.
And normally people who are going to do that, like you said, they aren't looking to harm others. It's just take themselves. So let's see, Mary Smith, OMG, they really taught deflect from the bad behavior by making yourself a victim. I mean, it's a classic move, yet so overt. That PR class, they must not have been teaching for the long win. Well, nothing is actually for the long win anymore. But this is in the same class where a gentleman was talking about going to, and L, that's fine. You're here. We appreciate it. And if you want, you can go back on the replay and see how we talked about it. That in this same class, this guy was talking about how a gentleman had worked for a company for over 35 years, was going to retire. They asked him to stay, and he stays on for another 5 years, 40 years invested in this company. The owners of the company sell out to another corporation who bring a headhunter in, and the guy looks and he goes, hey, this guy's been taking every Friday off for the past 2 months, calling in sick. So he calls the guy into his office and he says, I need doctor's excuses for why you weren't here on these Fridays. And he says, well, our company policy says that if it's not more than 2 days, then I don't have to bring in a doctor's excuse. I can just be sick. I've been here 40 years. I'm old and I'm tired. And the guy turned around, found a way through a loophole in the law, and had this man terminated. And he sat there and he goes, 40 years with the company, no pension, no medical benefits. Yes. I flipped out and I said some vulgar things that weren't supposed to be said, and had to go visit the chief after I got back from that class. And the chief asked me about it, and I told him, and I was very blunt about it. I said, don't ever send me to something like that again. And the chief goes, did he really say that? And I said, yeah. He goes, that's pretty messed up. I go, yeah, think about it. You're what, 3 months from retirement? It could happen to you. So, and that's why people don't trust corporations, especially non-family owned corporations, because they're owned by shareholders, and shareholders don't care about the personal element of it.
They just care about the money they're getting back.
Yeah, that's what
the almighty dollar.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to get back through these. Let's see. Wow, that's not an opportunity for the long win. Yeah, they, and that's, when I talk to my kids about what they should be doing for a career or something like that, I would love to see, my son, he wants to go into being a machinist. And my thing is be part of the union. Don't worry about working for an individual company, because companies, how many people worked for GM and Chrysler, put in 30, 35 years, retired out, and then the government bailed them out. And they went from a sustainable pension to $1,600 to $2,000 a month and we're told, if you have a medical problem, then go on Medicare. It's not our problem.
Yeah.
So I have no trust in corporations whatsoever anymore. And if you're going to work for the government, then work for the state or for the federal level, because cities can do the same thing to you. So let's see. After listening to Scott Campbell's harrowing story on Peeling the Onion, he was beaten, abducted, taken up to the top of Pac Base, suggesting he jumped, strangled, drugged, and caused a psychotic episode. Just even without the drugs, there's enough there to cause a person to have to go into a psychotic episode.
Yeah, you'd be surprised at how scared you actually are in those moments.
And, that's, as we were talking about earlier, breaking the person down psychologically, rebuilding them so that everything that you do, you're so worried about whether or not you're going to get in trouble. The what are they, PRs, performance reports or something like that?
Yeah, you have your reviews and your stats that you have, and it has to be done by 1 p.m. on Thursday. And then the next week starts from that. After that part's done, the next week starts.
Well, I'm talking about where they want you reporting other members.
Oh, KR.
Knowledge reports, KRs.
Yep.
Yeah. And, when you think about that, who does that in the world? Communist countries do that. Fascists, dictators, where they've got their own people reporting other members of the community for supposed wrongs. And this is an organization that claims to be a humanitarian organization. And they're using tactics that you see out of tyrants and dictators. How is that in any way going to help anyone?
Yeah. Can you highlight Mandy's Mastiff Moms?
Oh, let's see.
So Misty, yes.
Oh, down there. Snitch culture.
Yes. So it is an absolute snitch culture. Your parents will snitch on each other. My mom used to write KRs and things that shouldn't be on my dad all the time. And then my dad would write them right back towards my mom. And then my mom would write them on me. And then my dad would write, them on my mom. And then my mom would write it. It's this vicious circle where families are snitching on each other. Friends are snitching on each other. And it's literally just, I love the saying snitches get stitches because it's one of my favorites after leaving Scientology.
Yeah, it's amazing to me when I hear the things, when I hear about Claire constantly writing KRs on Mark, and and his surprise to a lot of it, and to this day it still burns him up, and he's like, I never wrote one on her. But if he wasn't, then he wasn't being a good Scientologist, was he?
Absolutely not.
It's let's see. Has anyone else become aware of the connection between LDS, Scientology, and FLDS and others? The feds just shut down a scam nutrition supplement company called Balance of Nature. I hadn't heard about that. I didn't know that.
I haven't heard of it either.
I knew about Scientology and Nation of Islam and the connection that they had. And that really surprised the daylights out of me. But apparently they're now separating ways. Question for Liz. Are you able to talk about your mom, about the abuse in your childhood? Does that fluctuate with your healing journey?
Honestly, I've tried talking to my mom multiple times, like multiple years, tried talking to it. And it turns into a nasty fight because she then says it's discipline and I scream abuse because, discipline should not lead to broken bones or scars.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, she's not willing to see that it was not discipline. And so I have to, do I believe it is? Yeah, I've got the scars to prove it. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit there and fight her over it because she's getting up there in age. And honestly, I'm not going to sit there and treat her like she treated me.
Yeah. That's like with my dad. I've talked about it many times. He was a Vietnam veteran, and he had a brutality about him that was just horrible. The first 3 times my nose got broke, he was the one who broke them. And the first time was when I was 12 years old. My back, I had scars on my back for so long that they're now finally fading. But I've got 2 spots right on my shoulder blades where he pinned me against a wall, and there were 2 bolts that were sticking out. And it actually scarred me from those bolts cutting into me as he was holding me there. So, but had you asked him, I never did any of that. I don't know what you're talking about. I loved my children.
Right. I have what looks like a pepperoni pizza on the side, on this side. And it's
slotted spoon.
It's what?
Slotted spoon?
No, actually fireplace. I got pushed against the fireplace.
Yeah.
And so it's a skin graft that when it healed, it's like a weak spot in my body. So like if I've ever been in fights and things like that, I know how to tuck it, because if you punch there, you go right inside.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, my that's why I always have such bad sinus problems, is because my nose has been broken and the damage that it's done in there. That's why I'm all, in the wintertime, I have really bad problems. Let's see, Charles Kaufman. This really is a serious situation, especially because kids are involved. You guys are making a difference. This is a cult and needs to go down as fast as possible.
Yes, that is my goal.
Charles, and I agree with that 100%. And the thing is that they, it may be a long haul to get it done, but the thing is we have to keep moving forward, and we have to keep our eyes on the prize. So let's see. And there was one I wanted to see. Paris Cashin. What about Flo Barnett, Shelley's mom? Yeah. And that was another one I was going to bring up. Yeah, that's
You said, does
another
that say
example
3
we don't
shots
do.
to the chest and 1 to the...
Yeah.
Okay. So we're
Yeah.
not going to go over science. We're just going to say, so 3, what was the order?
3 to the chest, 1 to the noggin.
Okay.
With a
So take into
rifle.
consideration, rifle, you've got to basically, what are you going to do? You push it with your thumb and
Yeah.
you got to do it 3 times and yet still be able to hold it to get it to your head.
Yeah.
Scientology, you done messed up.
Yeah.
You mathematically, these aren't making sense. So why can't we re-exhume bodies, go over that information again? Because that's starting to be a pattern. Most people cannot shoot themselves once, let alone 3 times in the chest and once in the head. That's
And
called overkill.
folks, I investigated many homicides, and I could tell you the probability of that being able to happen is, especially let's think about the fact of, with my arms, it's possible for one, but you add into it that a woman's arms are much shorter than mine, the ability to be able to hold it and do that, it's just not, it's not comprehensible. I don't know how that they're, but they don't have to, as long as they've got coroners that are willing to make the certificates out that say that it was. So it's crazy. Let's see here. And welcome to our newest member of the family here. Do you believe that this cult can eventually shut down completely? It's a $1 billion cult and it's located worldwide.
Yes, because the truth shall set you free. The more people that actually listen, and those are the people, the big donors, the $1 million donors. I'm sorry that you guys got bamboozled, but start looking, open your bloody eyes and stop handing them checks. If people would stop handing them checks, they close. This is like Toys R Us, people. You stop shopping there and people, the doors close. They can try to reopen. Doesn't mean they're going to succeed, because we'll still be around.
Let's see. I am okay. Someone said they'd sent me a video link about the nutritional thing. So,
okay.
Let's see. One Love 51,000. I asked because I was not able to talk to my mom about it. At some point, I gave up on it because I had to heal myself no matter what. Good for you.
Yeah,
that's exactly how I felt with my father.
Yeah, it's not my fault.
Yep. And I got to the point where I said, all I'm doing is harming myself. I don't need this. I'm not carrying this burden on my shoulders anymore. If that's the way it's going to be, I'm just going to forgive him and I'm going to move forward. And that's what I did, because that's what I needed to be able to feel like I was healing myself.
Yeah.
So
what was the third one? The CP tax forward.
Let's see. I'm trying to look. Who is it?
CP text forwarding.
Oh, there we go. Serge didn't know though his brother had died, but Serge's family was told that he was. Oh, they had told Serge's family that he was no longer there. Oh my goodness, that's just
it's like this nasty loop where now he has one sibling left, and per a few people, they said that they let him know. Until I can see that him and his brother together, I'm not holding my breath, because as far as I'm concerned, I will show up for him every day of the week.
And that's the thing is that you were told your father had passed.
Yeah.
And you believe that, you thought that for 15 years.
For almost 20 now. Almost 20 years.
Yeah. And they've been pushing the whole scheme that he's no longer with us. And here it is, he's out digging ditches in California. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Southern Mama, for that super. Thank you. Let's see, Helen, and let me know if I'm saying it wrong. Helen, is it Pigott or is it Peugeot? We have 1,850 Scientologists in the UK, according to the census 3 years ago. I bet you it's a whole lot less now.
I bet you it's like 1,000, maybe.
And I think that, you were hitting on the right topic. A lot of people are talking about the removing their tax status. I think even with that happening, I don't think that it's actually going to shut down till their numbers dwindle down enough that they can't afford to be open anymore.
Yeah,
That's
until people stop giving them money.
Let's see here. Colts be Colton. I like that name. It can be hard to change some people's ideologies. They still have staunch members of FLDS. Warren Jeffs is in prison. He's still running it from prison, by what I understand.
Yeah, kind of. There was like a part of it branched off. And then when the guy branched off, he got 10-year-old brides and all that stuff. So now he's in the same prison as Warren, and his followers come and visit too. It's the weirdest thing ever. Like,
yeah, and they get their
I wonder if DM, once he's in prison, like, are some of his executives going to be like flashing signals, be like, "Hi, buddy, what do you want me to do?" You know.
Let's see. Whoa, I hadn't heard this, but Render, Rathbun, and Davey covered up. DM said he was glad that B word is gone, and it devastated Shelley.
Wow.
That kind of reminds me, and it's on a different level, of course, but I think I was reading someone's book about when after LRH had passed away, I forget what their names are right now, but the husband and wife team that had stepped up and had the letters of special rank and everything.
Yeah, they had the gold letters with the seal on it.
One of them named Pat.
Is Blowdrill still in the chat?
Yeah, Blowdrill is still there. Can you remember who they were? But
I could ask my mom, but she'll probably yell.
But one of the things I remember on Broker, Annie Broker, Pat and Annie Broker. Thank you. Coffee first, please. When they had come out and they said they had these special documents and they had new OT levels that LRH and Colts, thank you as well, that LRH had passed on to them, and how they showed up at a warehouse and they convinced the security that the FBI was going to come and raid the warehouse, got in there and completely emptied the place out. I mean, that just goes right along with a lot of this mentality we're talking about tonight. It's always about covering for Scientology.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Yeah,
as long as they can, it doesn't matter what they have to do. It doesn't matter if they're hurting someone. It's not that you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. No, even if it kills you, as long as it makes Scientology look good, that's all that matters.
And that's what it absolutely amazes me that these things happen. Look at what it did to your life and all the different things you had to get over. Yeah. And, you were basically made to feel that you were a bad person for being who you actually were.
Yeah. I was scum and deserved death.
And I can tell you that from speaking with you and knowing you as I have in this short amount of time that we have, you're a beautiful soul. You're an honest person. You're always trying to do the right thing. And they made you feel like you were scum for so long, and I'll say it again, just like I said it, I don't know how many times, but you are accepted and you are loved here. And don't you forget that. You're part of the family,
I appreciate that. Cause yeah, it does suck when you start to realize you're not scum. And I don't mean it in a bad way. It just means that you believed it for so long that you're like, of course I'm scum. Here, let me show you how much scum I am. And it became this mission to try to prove to people that I was a loser. Mm-hmm. And then before you know it, it's just like you don't want to pretend to be that anymore. You start showing people who the real you is, and you get better. And you find that you like yourself a lot more in the mirror when you do it that way.
Now, I don't know if I can overlook this Pokemon addiction, but the rest. But yeah, it's ridiculous how they made you hide who you were.
Mm-hmm. And most of us did not have like huge childhoods. And so it's like, because we didn't have a childhood, this is my childhood.
But look what happens to those of us who had such traumatic things in our childhood. How the depth of person that we are now. You know, I came out of it with a father who literally at, I think it was 14 years old, and this was the second time he broke my nose. We were on vacation and we were in Georgia. I had this pair of boots that I had wanted so bad, and my mom got them for me, and I decided to wear them out one night while we were on our way down to Florida. My dad literally grabs me by the arm, pulls me up from the dinner table, takes me back to the hotel room where he knocked me out, broke my nose. And the last thing I remember hearing before it happened was, "You look like nothing but a little FAG." And that's when I got it. And so I can honestly tell you that I started making sure that I was in the best shape that I could as I was getting older. And I was 16 years old before I could finally stand up to him. You know, but you know, the fact is that it turned me into a father that my biggest fear is that my children ever fear me. And I never wanted my children to feel that they can't be safe with their father. And,
Absolutely.
you know, it also made me, you know, I have very staunch upbringing, father, former military, law enforcement guy, and a mother who was a very hardline, staunch Christian. And I'm an artist, so I'm constantly looking for new avenues of what are visually appeasing to me. And I'm always wanting to express myself through art. So these are all the things that make us who we are, folks. And yeah, they're horrible and should never be subjected on any child. But, you know, if anything, we at least try to look for a good outcome. Literally elder abuse right underneath the protesters' feet at the blue buildings. So heartbreaking. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Paris, you are coming up with a lot of good stuff.
Oh no, she's got some good ones.
Let's see. It's sad to see the Mormons like that. Yeah. Well, I can't keep up with one wife. How am I going to keep up with more than one? My goodness.
I'm good with just one. I just want one.
I saw a video where a gentleman was sitting with his wife beside of him, and he said, "My wife just kept complaining. What were you complaining about, honey?" And she goes, "I just wanted to spend more time with my friend." And then you see him turn the phone, and there's another woman sitting there. He goes, "So I married her friend as well. Are you happy about that?" And you just look at her, and it's just the complete shock in her eyes. But he actually put that out there as, you know, this was supposed to be a good thing. Come on. Question for Liz on the subject of these drills. At one point, are drills introduced to initiate? I can't imagine any newbie going in that whole scene. Please, sleep deprivation is torture. Okay, were the drills introduced to initiate?
Probably. A lot of drills became part of the state's project force. So like that meant running, because this trick was you weren't allowed to walk. You know, this wasn't something that you were like, oh, let's walk from the cantina to the 7th floor of the Manor Hotel. No, it's run. And occasionally you got to use the elevator, but a lot more times it was run. I had some sexy calves. Okay. I'm letting you know, those were sexy. And, you know, it was all about, you know, putting that forward and basically just telling, like, breaking a person, because you make a person run for so long where they feel like they're going to vomit. Guess what? That's overrunning someone. That's exhaustion. And then you're to tell them to keep going. And then no matter if you see them do it again another time, remember that one day you surpassed it, you can do it, and you're forcing them to go through it again. I'm lucky that nobody needed an ambulance. Like, I'm so grateful nobody needed an ambulance.
And this again goes back to my military and police training, both in basic and then out of basic. You didn't walk anywhere. You ran everywhere till you actually got some stripes on you and you had some authority. But if you were E1, E2, E3, even in E4, you were expected to run everywhere you went. And I remember in the police academy, same way. You did not walk from class to class. You got yourself up and you took everything with you and you ran to the next class. And if it was in the same room, they made you get up and run down the hall and then come back up for the next class. So, and that's all for the purpose of it keeps you on your toes at all times.
Yeah.
And I know, like in the police academy, a lot of the things that they did to us, a lot of people be like, I can't believe they did that. The fact is that they did it because if you can't handle it in a controlled environment like that, how are you going to handle it on the streets when someone's screaming in your face? So,
Absolutely.
And I agree with it. That's one of the things you just don't think about is, if I can't handle an instructor or cadre member in the police academy get in my face, calling me garbage, yelling at me, and how am I going to handle it when I've got somebody who is an addict that's out of their mind and they're doing far worse? If I can't control myself in that situation and handle that kind of treatment, then I'm useless on the streets.
Right.
Yeah. And what's amazing to me is how many people, when I went through the police academy, we had these training classes where we actually felt what it felt like to get punched. In some of the academies, they actually do boxing matches. Others, they do different things. I could not believe the number of people who were going into the police academy who'd never been punched before, but yet you're going to go out on the street and have to
go defend yourself. Wow.
Yeah. You don't know
Wow.
you know yourself. You do not know how you're going to react until that first time you get punched.
Exactly.
So,
I kind of have a motto, and there's times that I'm proud of it and there's times that I'm not. But if you're going to start a fight with me, please know how to fight.
yeah.
That is my biggest thing is, if you're going to be the one to start a fight, know how to fight. I've been taught by an uncle that the cheap shots. I've been taught by a Taekwondo Jaime, that where to hit to get the best.
Yeah, and that's for me, I grew up. My father was a master catch wrestler, so I grew up training with him in that, which is a lot like Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Instead of the chokes that they use, we focus on joint manipulations, elbows, shoulders, knees. But I grew up with that, and then playing football in high school and the different things I was doing. There were times where you got into fights, and it really felt sad when you would fight someone and you could just tell they didn't know what they were doing.
Right.
And there was more than one occasion where I've just literally just walked away because it was not going to be good, and I'm certainly not just going to hurt somebody for no reason.
I would do the whole just stay down, just stay down, just stay down. You'll be fine. Just stay down.
Okay. Paris says, I have the worst one ever. Give me a sec. Josephus Haveneth. All right. Expand on it there, Paris.
Yeah, expand on it. Give me a little bit of information.
Here we go. Found to have drowned in the bathtub of boiling water at the Fort Harrison. I've seen people like that, extreme burn victims before. How you can't.
The water doesn't technically get hot enough to burn skin.
That's steam that's going to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're in it long enough, it will happen.
Well, you'll get the floater syndrome.
Yeah. Wow. That is just wow. I've seen victims of steam burns and hot water burns. Wow. the what it took to do that. I mean, you would literally have to throw yourself into that, and the amount of pain that would come with that, ri- ridiculous.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
and for a suicide, that's the best way to do it. Honestly, is it going to hurt? Yeah, but you're honestly you're gonna go.
This coffee sat for 10 minutes before I took the first drink because it was too hot. My goodness, let's get this back in focus. It's not going to happen. So, all right. Well, we are at the 2-hour mark. Do you have any parting words for us, Elizabeth?
Because I am going towards 3,000. Please don't forget to like, smash subscribe, come visit me. We have some great conversation. If you, from anybody from my channel, if you have not yet subscribed to the amazing Poe, please also do him the favor, so that way we can show a little love, because that is the whole point of this, is showing a little love. Even going down to LA, it's showing a little love, so that way we're doing it as a family.
Absolutely.
And so the trick is show a little love, like be kind. That's my biggest thing, is be kind.
Yeah, and that's, I've said it a million times. If we allow ourselves to be divided over issues that we can get around, then that makes us weaker as a community. And trying to work together, trying to show respect is the best way to do that. That's why from day one, my channel has been about being open and welcoming. I try to avoid I don't do politics on my channel whatsoever, because there's no room for that in here.
Yeah.
We've got a focus, and the focus is bringing down this cult. And, I've said it probably a million times now, but if we lose that focus, then our fight loses. We have to keep committed. And it doesn't mean you have to go out there and spend your last dollar to go out and protest at one of these orgs. It's by making sure you're engaged in the chats. After the videos are over with, you're commenting, you're getting the algorithm to pick these up better, so that it's getting out there so more people hear about it.
Yeah, I always tell people I'll race you to the comments.
And that's the thing, is you don't have to be a frontline soldier. All right. Not everybody can pick up on this fight, but you can help support those of us who are trying to make this fight. And I'm not talking about financially. Though, as it comes to me, I've made it very clear. This isn't about making money for me. This is about getting the word out there and keeping people focused on what's going on. So, and with that, I want to tell each and every one of you how much I appreciate you. Spending your precious time with us and listening and engaging with us and being part of this conversation is so very important to us. And we so much respect and love for all of you.
Yes, thank you so very much.
And for those who are on Twitter and Rumble, or I'm sorry, X and Rumble, and watching this live stream, again, I do apologize. StreamYard doesn't have it set up so that you guys can engage in the chat as well. But I appreciate you as well. And folks, as I always say, life is short. You get one shot, make it count.